In this video, you're going to get an overview of the preterite and imperfect tenses in Spanish. Both of these are used to talk about things that happened in the past, but the differences can be kind of subtle and confusing and can create misunderstandings sometimes. So in this video, I want to give you 2 stories plus 1 simple exercise to help you start to wrap your head around the differences between the two and when to use them. We're going to look at the stories first and then explain the grammar behind them. Unfortunately, the way that most people go about learning how to use these tenses is by memorizing a whole bunch of situations and a whole bunch of conjugations and then getting really stressed when they're trying to use it all in conversation with somebody else. Don't do that. My goal here is to give you a simple overview, help you get an idea for how this all works, and then it's up to you to go practice. That way, when you are speaking with somebody else, you can just sort of let the grammar happen in the background, not think about it too much, and let the words come out and just enjoy the fact that you're speaking Spanish. So first, picture a timeline of an afternoon of yours on vacation. Say you're at the beach. You spent the afternoon on the beach and somebody asks you, "What did you do today? ¿Qué hiciste hoy? What did you do today?" And you reply, "Estuve toda la tarde en la playa." I was on the beach for the whole afternoon, period, end of story. Didn't go into detail, talk about anything else that happened. In this case, we'll use the preterite, the simple past tense. Estuve, I was. Now let's take a different story, a different take on the same situation. Say you spent the afternoon on the beach, but this time you are telling somebody about your afternoon. A few more things are going on, a couple things interrupt what happened, and in general, there's just more to tell. In this case, we're going to mix up the 2 tenses. So you might start by saying, "Estaba en la playa y hacía mucho calor, así que me metí al agua. Estaba en el agua, pero tuve que salir porque el salvavidas vio un tiburón. Así que estuve solo una media hora en el agua." We use the imperfect of these verbs. Estaba en la playa. I was on the beach. Hacía mucho calor. It was really hot, to talk about the situation broadly, to set the scene. We use the preterite in this case, me metí, tuve, vio, estuve, to describe things that came and went that sort of interrupted the scene. Tuve que salir, I had to get out, the one time. El salvavidas vio, the lifeguard saw, the once. Estuve una media hora en el agua. I was in the water for half an hour, a fixed time frame. Now let's look at a second scenario where you might have to choose between these 2 verb forms. Picture a timeline of your childhood this time. And imagine that you're telling a story about something that you used to do often. For example, cuando era niño, siempre estaba contento de ir a la playa. Íbamos todos los años y nos quedábamos una semana allí. Pero una vez, cuando tenía 11 o 12 años, hubo un huracán enorme y no pudimos ir. Me sentí muy decepcionado. We use the imperfect in this scenario, era, estaba, íbamos, and so on, to talk about the things that we used to do with some regularity or that used to happen regularly. Basically, stuff that happened repeatedly in the past. Cuando era niño, when I was a kid, broadly, siempre estaba, I was always, íbamos todos los años, we would go or we used to go every year. But we use the preterite to talk about things that came and kind of interrupted the normal sequence of events. Hubo un huracán, there was a hurricane. No pudimos ir, we couldn't go. Me sentí decepcionado, I felt disappointed. These are all things that interrupted the normal sequence. There was one hurricane, we couldn't go the once, and I felt disappointed the once. Now these 2 stories are just an overview of this broad concept that you're going to come across over and over in Spanish, if you haven't already. And right now you might feel a little bit overwhelmed by all the stuff that it seems like there is to know about it. One thing to know is that as you go, the more you listen to Spanish and are surrounded by it, you'll develop more of an intuition for when to use one versus the other, and you won't have to think about it really consciously. Instead, it'll just be automatic. And the first step towards actually being able to use this in an automatic way is to practice. Practice on your own without the pressure of having somebody else in front of you. Create a story of your own, 1 to 2 sentences long, about something that happened yesterday or last week, or something that you did repeatedly in the past. Leave your story in the comments and I'll be happy to provide feedback on it. Then, over the course of the next week, start to incorporate this into your Spanish routine. Maybe you're driving to work or going for a walk. You can tell yourself a story each day about something that happened that day or the day before. A very simple story, don't overcomplicate it at the beginning. 1 to 2 sentences about how you were eating breakfast and then the cat jumped on the table, or anything really. Then with some practice under your belt, you will start to feel a little bit more confident about which one of these verbs you can choose. And then the key is when you're actually speaking with somebody to forget everything that you learned and just speak. Like I mentioned earlier, let the grammar be in the background and just interact with the person. Try not to think too much about the grammar of what you are saying and just let the words come out. Trust what you have learned and enjoy the fact that you're speaking Spanish. If you like this video and you want more tips to help you with your Spanish, click subscribe. And if you want even more, go to breakthroughspanish.com, where I have a free course that'll help you start learning Spanish more effectively and have more fun along the way. Thanks for watching.